Hello, my name is Jacob Monk. Welcome to this short video about the false Pope from Moscow. I'm talking about Kyrill, a guy from Moscow calling himself a Patriark. Well, nobody in the history of Christianity has ever decided that there should be any Patriarch in Moscow. It is something that the so-called Orthodox Church in Moscow has decided only for themselves. So this guy here, he's a false patriarch, and is certainly also a false pope. Nowadays, he tries to prevent the Ukrainian Orthodox Catholic Church to adjust their theology and to be associated with the real patriarch living in Istanbul, called Constantinople in the old days. Well, the false Pope Kyrill from Moscow, he wants to be the ruler of every Orthodox in the whole world. Although the Orthodox, they claim they have no Pope, they have no leader nowhere in the world. They only have local leaders. So Kyrill, he should claim maybe that he's the leader of the Orthodox people in Russia. But he also wants to control the Orthodox Church in Ukraine. That is, he wants them to force them to have the same theology as Kyrill himself, the same very bad, very wrong theology that is based on the idea that filioque is only going from the Father, not from the Son. The idea is that the Son, that is Jesus Christ, is on a lower level than God the Father. That is, Jesus Christ is a second-hand God, a second-level God. This is the theology of the Russian false Pope from Moscow. And I'm sorry to say that many Russians, they believe the same. Well, the Russians should be part of the global Catholic Christian Church, but they don't want to be that. They want to be separate, and they want to control all the other Orthodox churches. But now the very big Orthodox Church of Ukraine, they have asked the Patriarch of Constantinople to be associated with Constantinople without being subordinated to the church, the false Pope Church in Moscow. And this is very, very good. This is a hope for real Christianity. You know, in 1054, the schismatic church in Moscow, they left the Catholic Church. And since then, Russia has been not associated with Europe and the world. They have been a whole place of their own culture, living in the East. We have a lot of problems today with the relationship between East and West. And if you look at the history, you can see there have been so many wars between East and West. I don't want to mention them all, but Russia has been in war with Germany, with Italy, with Greece and many other countries up through the history since 1954. 1954 was a catastrophe for the Russians. But this catastrophe was based on another catastrophe, and this happened in 325. That was when the Apostolic Confession of Faith was decided at the Council of Nicaea. And the Russians didn't like it because they are Arians. They believe that Jesus Christ is on a lower level than his Father, God. Yeah, this is Orthodox Byzantine theology, and therefore they also believe that Virgin Mary, she is not absolutely free of sin. She was born with the same inherited sin as all other people. They believe Virgin Mary, she's just a normal human person with sin just like you and me. Well, this is not a real Christian point of view. But the false Pope from Moscow, nevertheless, he tries to force these views upon the so-called Christians in Ukraine and in Russia. Well, Russia, that's a special situation. The president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, has visited the Pope in Rome several times, but he is not allowed to do it for Kyrill. Kyrill, he is the one that prevents the Pope from Rome, the Pope, leader of all Christian churches, the Pope sitting on the chair of Saint Peter, who is buried under the St. Peter's Church in Rome. Well, this is the leadership of global Christianity. Moscow has never been and will never be an important point in real Christianity. But the false Pope from Moscow, Kyrill, he tries to manipulate and tries to give the impression that he is the real leader of the global international church. He is the real Pope. But certainly he is not. What is coming from Moscow when we are talking for theology is very, very bad. Very bad. First of all, very bad for the Russians. Second, very bad for the whole Christian world. So shame on you, Kyrill, your false Pope, and I hope that your followers from Moscow, one day they'll wake up and throw you out and say, we want to be part of international Christianity. We don't want to have a national racist church like the Kyrill church from Russia. We want to have global international religion, because this is the way to create a better world, and this is the only way to create peace. Thank you for listening.